So today we're going to talk about the area of a rectangle and the area of a parallelogram. So we've been using our yellow area material, and this might be a review for some of you. For some of you, it might be new information. But as we continue to explore area, it's important that we remember the foundational part of what we're doing. So I'm starting with my yellow area material rectangle. I apologize if you can hear my cat meowing. He is very vocal and likes to meow. So we have our yellow rectangle, and what we've been doing is either counting the squares one by one, which can take a really long time. There are 50 squares here. That would take a long time to count. Or, as some of you have discovered, we could count by fives to find the area of the rectangle, which is 50. So we could count by 5 using the columns of the rectangle. Or we could count by 10s using the base of the rectangle, so using the rows. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Some of you have also discovered that we can simply take the number on the base, on the height, and multiply it by the number on the base. So we can take 5, multiply it by 10, and get 50. So that's what we're going to focus on doing today. And there is a special math problem called a formula that tells us how to do this. So for any rectangle, actually I shouldn't say that, for most rectangles, you'll see why in a later lesson. For most rectangles, we can find the area by multiplying the base times the height. So the way this looks is we have A for area equals the base, use my multiplication symbol, times the height. So in this instance, we already talked about how the base is 10 unit squares, or 10 square units, or 10 units squared. We talked about how you can call the unit of measurement for this a bunch of different things, but they all basically mean the same thing. So this is 10 unit squares. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out. So my base equals 10 unit squares. Now, we also found that our height was 5 unit squares. So I'm going to put that out. Height, or h for height, equals 5 unit squares. And the reason we're using letters instead of the whole word is that it's just faster. So if we had to write out area equals base times height every single time, it would take a really long time just to get through one math problem. So we're using abbreviations. So we have our formula, area equals base times height. So all we have to do is we replace the b in our problem with the value for b, which is 10. So area equals 10 times the height. And now we'll replace the h per height with the value of it, which is 5. So our area equals 10 times 5. So we do the math problem, 10 times 5 is 50. So our area equals 50 unit squares. All right, that's pretty simple. But let's look at how we would solve a problem like one that's in your follow-up work, where we don't have specific, we don't have squares that we could count, where they're just going to give us the base and the height. I'm going to get my whiteboard. Okay, so here I have my slightly messy whiteboard, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. So what you'll see on your follow-up work is you'll have a rectangle, and it may look like this, it may look like this, it may look like this, but the formula will always be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write our formula up here. So our formula will always be area equals base times height. Whoop, move that down so you can see it. Area equals base times height. So the good news is that on these problems, they're going to give you the base and the height. So all you have to do is put in the value that they've given you into the problem and do the multiplication. So let's say that my base for this first rectangle is 10 inches. All right, and I'm going to fix this. It's very mushy. There we go, a little better. So the base is 10 inches. And let's say that my height is 4 inches. It's hard writing on a whiteboard. I'm used to writing on paper. All right, so height equals 4 inches. All right, so we're just going to put those values into our problem. I'm going to erase my other example rectangle so we have some room. So area equals base times height, like we have up there. And then we're going to plug in our values. So in the place of b, we're going to put 10. So area equals 10 times the height. Our value for the height is 4 inches. So 10 times 4, which equals 40. So when we're doing follow-up work, I want you to make sure that you write the unit of measurement, which in this case is inches. And the abbreviation for inches is IN period. So I'm going to write, that's one of my cats scratching on the stairs. They're crazy. So I'm going to write my abbreviation. So inches squared for square inches. So the value, the area of my rectangle here is 40 square inches. Let's look at one more. I'm going to erase this off screen. Okay. So let's say we have like a long, skinny, sort of slanted rectangle, tilted. All right. So the same thing applies. My base equals, let's say 7 inches. And actually, you know what? Instead of inches this time, let's use centimeters. And the height of my rectangle is 2. So height equals 2 centimeters. Okay. So to solve this, I'm going to turn my paper back this way, or my whiteboard, but you can turn your paper any which way you'd like, as long as it makes sense to you. And you can still write. So my area, the area formula is, if you know it, say it now. Area equals base times height. So in this instance, our base is 7. So I'm going to write 7 times our height, which is 2. 7 times 2. So So I solve my problem. 7 times 2 is 14. So the area of this rectangle is 14 centimeters squared, or square centimeters. You can say it either way. It means the same thing. So that's how we solve for the area of a rectangle using the area formula. Now we're going to talk about parallelograms. And while parallelograms look different from rectangles, it's actually pretty easy because we use the same formula to find the area of one. So I have my solid parallelogram here, and I have my broken up parallelogram. But we can see, just like we've tested in our other lessons, they're the same size. Now, if I wanted to just count my individual squares on here to find the area, I wouldn't be able to do that because I only have pieces. You see that? So, I also can't, I'm not able to find my base because I have a piece here and a piece here. But what I can do is I can turn my parallelogram into a rectangle. And then, if it's a rectangle now, I can use the exact same formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that formula now. Let's see, I need both of these to be in picture. So, use the same formula. Area equals base times height. Okay. So, on this parallelogram, we can see that our base, our parallelogram that we turned into a rectangle, we can see that our base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our base is 10. Our height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like with our rectangle, to solve for the area of our parallelogram, we're going to multiply our base times our height. Our base, we counted, was 10. So we put that in where the B was. Then we put the 5 in for where the H was. So the area of our parallelogram is 10 times 5, which is, I wonder if you can say it before I'm able to place this out. The area of our parallelogram is 50 unit squares. So even though we have a different shape here, we're still using the same formula that we do for our rectangle. So I'm going to take the follow-up work sheet that I have for you, and we're going to look at one of the problems together. Okay. Actually, let's see, I have to edit the follow-up work because there's some things on it that we are not talking about in this lesson. So I'm going to draw out a parallelogram and show you what you would do when it's on paper. So if we have a parallelogram, okay, And they tell us that the base is, let's say 5 centimeters. And our height, okay, this is how the height is calculated in a parallelogram when you don't have movable pieces. So I'm going to draw a little arrow just so that we have some more space. So our height is, let's say 3 centimeters. So just like with our rectangle, we're going to write our formula first. Our formula is area equals base times height. So our base is 5, so we'll put that here. Area equals 5 times our height, which is 3. So then our area, the area of our parallelogram, is 15, and we're going to put our units of measurement centimeters squared. 15 square centimeters. All right, so for follow-up work, you're going to do the sheet that I will put on our Google Drive. And then once you've finished it, your parents will take a photo of it and upload it to your work folder in our lesson group drive. As always, if you have any questions, just reach out either through email or maybe even video conferencing. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to handle questions yet. But by the time you're watching this, hopefully we will have figured it out. All right, have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you later.